This tiny nation in the Caucasus is facing an existential threat, and they feel like nobody is paying attention. The people who live here are Armenians, who are Christian, and they've inhabited this region for millennia. But the territory is also claimed by their Muslim neighbors in Azerbaijan. And now, the Azeris are bent on driving the Armenians out and taking the land for themselves. And they're doing it with the help of a very powerful ally. President Erdogan of Turkey has sent military assets to help Azerbaijan as this conflict has become a power struggle between regional superpowers. Armenia has limited support from Russia, but the Armenian military is still outnumbered 5-1.
And it was started by the Azeris, who are trying to not only take territory that has been historically Armenian for thousands of years, but they don't want to stop with just the taking of territory. They want to wipe out the Armenian people.
Well, as a missionary here to Armenia, I am deeply concerned about what has been transpiring by Azerbaijan and Turkey against the Christian Armenian populations. And one of the things that I'm reminded of when I watch the Turkish and Azeri news is that the book of Proverbs chapter 6, starting in verse 19, says there are certain things that the Lord hates and says are abomination. One of those things is theft. One of those things is murder. The other one is devising evil plans in your heart. And what I've seen over the last 3 years is Azerbaijan and Turkey systematically devise evil plans to murder Christians and steal their native homelands. And they just did this. And unfortunately, the news cycle has ignored most of what's happened of this ethnic cleansing that started on September 19th of 2023. But it started with a siege of 9 months of them preventing food and medical supplies and anybody coming in and out of the region of Artsakh. Now they've all been ethnically cleansed from their homelands that have been there since the time of Noah. And so I'm deeply concerned for these people and what's going on with them, and the world needs to know about this subject.
But the conflict isn't just about land. There's an ethnic and religious nexus as well.
Armenian is a historically Christian land. The first nation on earth to officially embrace Christianity, and that is something that the Turks and the Azeris don't want. Erdogan, who's president of Turkey, seeks a revived Ottoman Empire with Islam at its head.
So you see this car right here was hit by cluster munitions. All of these little holes are from the thousands of projectiles that are thrown out by these things. They are definitely not meant for civilian areas. They're meant for troops in the open. And it's like a giant shotgun aimed at this civilian area. 83-year-old Rosa was sleeping when she awakened to a huge explosion. Now, the house she's lived in for decades is a smoking crater, but miraculously, she survived. Both sides accuse the other of atrocities in this conflict, but only Azerbaijan is trying to take land it doesn't control. The Armenians, on the other hand, see this as an existential threat.
Two things. I would say two things for my brothers and sisters in Artsakh that are now in exile in Armenia. The first one is from Jeremiah 29, is that they need to find their homes, settle down, find jobs, have children, get married, have grandchildren, bless this country and pray for this country that they're exiled to. But second, don't lose hope, because this land that they were just exiled from is their historic homeland. And just because a Hamas-like terrorist group, the Azerbaijani government and the Turkish government says it's our land, does not mean it is, because historically it's always been the lands of the Artsakh people, and they've been there from the very beginning. There was no Azeris there was no Turks there. They came in later with their armies and invaded. So this is their historic homeland, and as things do usually change in favor of those that are oppressed, that it is possible one day in the very near future that that land will be returned to them. So don't lose hope.